It's yet another day down the rabbit hole of daily horror. Today's tale asks the terrifying question: do you ever feel like you're being watched? Here's The Hole, as part of 365 horror shorts. There's very little we understand about this world. Why people do what they do is one of them. It's hard to process what's going on inside someone's head unless they let you into their own little world. But when they inevitably do, make sure it's something you're prepared for. I stood before the door to yet another apartment. What was it, the third one today I'd been to? I wasn't sure. All I knew is I was ready to call it a night. I grabbed my keys and flipped through the mass of jangling metal until I found the one I needed. The number on the key matched the door number, so these had to be it. I unlocked the door and turned the knob, letting myself inside. I wasn't quite prepared to be greeted with a waft of fresh paint. This place wasn't properly ventilated, was it? I went to open a window and dropped my toolbox on the floor. First things first, I need to check and make sure the wiring is working right. I went from room to room and flipped the light switches on. They all seemed to work just fine. No faulty wiring that I could see. No bulbs that needed to be switched out. This was going to be a lot easier than I expected. Thankfully, I got there after they cleaned the apartment out, otherwise I'd be tripping over a bunch of useless junk to get where I needed to go. Next, I checked to make sure all the faucets were working. I tried the kitchen and the bathroom. The sinks and bathtub seemed to have good water pressure. That's another check off my list. I'm just waiting for that one thing that I do that doesn't work as intended. Maybe some screws might be loose in the cabinets, or the HVAC unit might be faulty. I had to desperately hope not. After doing a couple more meaningless checks on things around the apartment, I reached the point of checking the walls and floors for any damage. I started with the floor, since it would be faster. Walking across a couple floorboards, I found a couple of them to be squeaky but not really loose. I jotted that down. Then it was onto the walls. The bland, plain white walls. I ran my hand along the bedroom wall and stopped when I noticed something. My fingers ran across something loose. I turned to look, dreading it might be something I'd have to fix. My gaze was fixed on the wall where I spotted a small piece of string. It was a lot thicker than string, so maybe yarn? I tugged at it a bit, and a large strand raised from the wall, peeling away from the paint as I went. I tugged more and more, trying to track down where it led. The yarn seemed to trail on for quite a bit. As I pulled, I noticed it was getting long enough to where it was reaching the floor. I tugged and pulled until eventually I felt it stop. It felt like it was caught on something in the wall. Something tough. I didn't want to tug too hard as it might break the yarn, so instead I dropped the string and ran to my toolbox. I fumbled around trying to find something sharp. My eyes landed on my putty knife. I grabbed it and ran back to the bedroom. I went to the wall and found what it was caught on. It was a piece of square felt that was stuck to the wall and painted over. I dug a part of the blade of my putty knife under the felt until it started to come up. I soon realized that it was a hole in the wall emerging. This must have been to cover something up. My question now was, did the previous tenants do this, or was it because of the cleanup crew that came after? I shrugged and continued to tear the rest of the fabric off the wall. I mean, I can always patch it back up, it's my job after all. After peeling the last of the fabric off, I saw the cutout in the shape of an oval, almost the size of a head. In the center of it, I could see a bit of light. What was that? I leaned in and pushed my head into the hole. The hole itself was a bit tight. I had to maneuver my head a bit, but eventually I got it to fit. But when I finally got in there, I noticed my eye was almost perfectly aligned with whatever that light source was, which happened to be looking directly into the bedroom of another apartment. What the hell? I muttered. The bedroom was pink and strewn with lights and posters. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement. It was a woman. She was short with black hair, styled as if she'd just crawled out of bed. She wore a form-fitting gray tank top and a pair of black basketball shorts. She was looking around her room until I saw her grab something from far away. This felt wrong. What was this hole even for? To spy on this woman? That thought made me nauseous. I was about to back out and close the thing up when she turned to face me, her face twisted into a rageful one. She walked in my direction, muttering a few things. I tried to back out, but my head was caught. The hole was too tight. I tried to wiggle my head free, but it was too small. I looked at the woman. She had something in her hand. Was that a screwdriver? I fought as hard as I could against the drywall to escape, but I couldn't. I couldn't break free. Pain suddenly shot through my skull when I felt the screwdriver she was holding plunge directly through my eye. "Yes, officer, I reported the neighbors multiple times to the landlord," I said, looking back at the wall that had the screwdriver stuck in it. "I was told they moved out, but then I saw them spying on me again." "And how were they spying on you exactly?" asked the man on the other line. "I guess they drilled through the wall or something and made a peephole," I replied. "I'd always hear someone talking or something shiny on the other side. I didn't know if it was a camera or their eye, but I really didn't feel safe. But after I was told they were kicked out, I finally felt safe enough to move back into my bedroom." "And then it happened again?" the man on the other end interrupted. "Yeah," I said. "And I told myself, if anyone ever tries doing that again, they'll regret it." "Are they still there?" he asked. "We can send some guys out and get them locked up for a bit if you'd like." "Oh yeah," I replied mischievously as I toyed with the screwdriver in the wall. "They aren't going anywhere." This episode was written and produced by DL Dare. All audio is from epidemicsounds.com. If you enjoyed this episode and want to read more 365 horror short stories, check out 365 Horror Shorts on Substack, or at 365horrorshorts.blogspot.com. This podcast is distributed by Acast, based on the daily horror short stories by DL Dare.